Town of Kingston Planning Board meeting of Monday, March 24th, 2025. And it's 7:03, and we're going to start with a roll call.
That's just them going.
Alexander Graham, present.
Dave Gavigan.
Bob Goslin.
Okay, we have 3 for quorum. We have, what, one item today? Just some zoning cleanup, some zoning bylaw cleanup. Val, you want to, oh, actually, we have a public notice has to be read first, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
why don't
we're
you read
opening a
that?
public hearing.
Huh?
We're opening a public hearing.
Yep, opening a public hearing.
Notice of public hearing. The planning board will hold a public hearing on Monday, March 24th, 2025 at 7:01 PM at the Kingston Townhouse, room 200, 26 Evergreen Street, Kingston, Massachusetts, to present and discuss the following articles for action at the 2025 annual town meeting, which propose to see if the town will vote to amend the Town of Kingston zoning bylaws by, number 1, amending Section 2, definitions, Section 2.2, defined terms in order to add a definition of service use, and if necessary, to modify Section 5, table of uses, commercial, industrial uses, including service shop, to clarify allowed, P, and allowed by special permit from the planning board, SPPB, retail or service uses in the commercial zoning district in order to do housekeeping to correct an apparent oversight in the 2016 recodification with respect to commercial industrial uses in the commercial zoning district. And number 2, modifying section 6.7 mixed-use redevelopment overlay district, MUROD, section 6.2A, special permit uses to read as follows, underlining to indicate new language. The following uses are permitted in the MUROD subject to a special permit and site plan review. Number 1, multi-family and apartment dwellings. There may be up to a maximum of 300 units for the entire overlay district with 1, 2, or 3 bedrooms per unit. No more than 5% of the total number of units shall have more than 2 bedrooms. Number 2, gasoline service stations, provided that all pump islands shall be set back at least 15 feet from the front lot line. B, no unregistered vehicle or vehicles in any inoperative condition are to remain on the site for more than a 2-week period unless enclosed in a building or unless a screening is provided and maintained along adjoining properties and abutting public ways. C, areas not covered by buildings or pavement shall be maintained as a landscaped area. And D, said use is not located over a watershed protection overlay district. And number 3, modifying the zoning map of the Town of Kingston mixed-use redevelopment overlay district, MUROD, to include all or a portion of map 84 lot 2, or take any other action relative thereto. Any person interested and desiring to comment on these items should appear at the time and place designated above. The complete text and any pertinent maps are on file and available for inspection at the town clerk's office, room 10226 Evergreen Street, Kingston.
Val, you want to,
Yeah, Mr. D'Ambrosio is here from the Second Horizon Group, if you wanted to approach the microphone, and I have a slide I can put up.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Val. For the record, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Yep, Rob D'Ambrosio, attorney at law, D'Ambrosio Law in Plymouth. As Ms. Massard mentioned, I represent Second Horizon Capital, the owners of the Kingston Collection. So Mr. Graham read into the record the notice, but just for clarity's sake, Val, that you had made some minor edits, and that's what's before us tonight, right? Some minor edits to what was advertised, just to be clear?
Yes.
Okay, all right, great. So, again, I don't have a whole lot to say here. I think Val is going to put up on the screen the
It's not showing.
map, but, as you could glean from the notice, the intention here is to allow basically a gas station on a portion of the area that is owned by the mall. On the edge there, they've got a potential end user that would like to have that use available to it. Again, we think it's well cited here for it, and just to give you some transparency, there's also, it's not part of this hearing, but, in order to effectuate this plan, we may seek to add an article to the warrant to swap a bit of land with the fire station land holding directly adjacent. But again, that's just context for you. But, in short, again, we wouldn't expect there to be any, let me describe it. The gas station that's being contemplated wouldn't be like an old-fashioned service station. In fact, I don't think there's going to be any service there. Don't quote me on that. So I know a portion of the language talks about, no inoperative vehicles languishing on the site. I don't think that's a concern at all, because this would be much more of an in-and-out type of gas station. Again, I don't believe there's going to be service here. So again, it'll be properly screened, of course. Happy to do that. And, we think it's a nice use for the site. And again, I think here you can see where where it would be located. So just outside the Murad now, but again, we're asking that area, the Murad, be extended a bit just to capture that area. We're outside the water protection overlay, so I'm hoping it's not an issue with the water commissioners or anyone else. So I'm happy to answer some questions, but that's in a nutshell what's being proposed. Thank you.
Okay, Val, you have anything to say about this?
No, it's pretty clean. There's going to be a separate warrant article dealing with the possibility of a land swap involved in this, because there's a portion of the, if you look at this, you can see this is right next to the fire station, as Rob pointed out. And there's available land at the fire station, and we've talked with the chief, and the potential for a land swap works for the fire department as well as for the town. So we are contemplating a separate warrant article that would deal with that activity. And right now, what we're doing is zoning. And the zoning would allow for, in that space between the Murad and over towards William C. Gould Way, which is also the direction of groundwater flow away from the wells, would be contemplated right at that location. And interestingly enough, water pressure isn't an issue, water isn't an issue, because this kind of gas station is served by foam. So that makes this also a use that can be put in without the water moratorium affecting it. So that is the request. Do you have any questions?
The only question I have is, you said service is not anticipated.
Self-serve.
Like a mechanic on duty or something. That's not something that we're looking to do. We're looking to put like a convenience store with gas pumps, right?
Right, yeah, and I think that, again, I guess, true, and I would also add that this is still gonna be a special permit use, so, anything that comes forward, even if it's not service, which again, I don't expect it to be service, it would be before this board for special permit and site plan review, so you're gonna get a look at whatever comes forward here.
It may not have what you're thinking of, the convenience store or whatever. It's not going to have that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the C-store. Yeah, I heard the service, yeah.
But it's not gonna have,
People pumping your gas.
people aren't gonna bring their cars there to have them serviced.
Correct, they're not.
That's what I'm more concerned about that than I am the convenience store part.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
I don't think the fire department would hate having a gas station in close proximity.
They have no issues with it.
They have no issues with it at all. Would the plan be to build the gas station, and then owners would come in and possibly lease it, like franchises, like companies, something like that?
No, again, I don't want to get too far down the road here.
Yeah.
I mean, this is obviously just a zoning amendment article to enable the possibility, pursuant to a special permit, of a gas station. But again, what's been contemplated here in these initial, initial thought process would be, probably something that would be owner-operated.
Okay, owner-operated.
And you can see that there's a commercial industrial district underneath, which would allow by special permit a gas station anyway. But the intent here is that the planning board has been working on all of the redevelopment activities at the mall. And the idea by intercepting the Murad is to continue that the permitting is cohesive through the planning board, because this is related to the redevelopment of the mall.
I don't have a problem with it.
I don't have any issues as long as it's aesthetically pleasing,
Mhm.
where it is, where it's gonna be.
And again, you guys are gonna get a look at all that under site plan review, so,
And I
you know,
wouldn't
you'll
be a
get.
bit surprised if they wanted to put charging stations in there as well.
Part of the benefit to the town will include a safety provision, which will, there's a hill right in front of the fire station as you're coming down the road. You can't see the light, and it makes people scramble to stop when that light is red. They're going to, proposing to, as part of the special permit process, cut that hill back. So it's a good thing for the town in terms of safety and for the fire department.
I don't have any issue with it.
So there's no public comment, there's no one online. Do you want to close the public hearing?
Yeah, that's all we have to talk about on this?
That's it?
Okay. I guess I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of closing the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we just need a vote to recommend favorable action. And what are we doing?
Yes, you're seeking favorable action recommended to town meeting.
Okay, can I get a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to recommend favorable action on the articles for action at the 225 annual town meeting, which proposes to see if the town will vote to amend the town of Kingston zoning bylaws.
Seconded.
As presented.
Seconded.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and then, Mr. Chairman, if I may, I would screen share again and go into the housekeeping article,
Okay.
if that's okay? It's still not liking how I share. I'll find it, though. There it is. Okay. So this is housekeeping because it's related to some work that was done by the town. A couple of years ago, the town undertook a pretty big project to recodify the zoning bylaw. And recodification is a big fancy word for fix the formatting. And no zoning changes were intended. It was just a reorganization. But there's a hiccup. And if you look, I just want to show you what, this is an example of a use table. And what we did when we recodified our zoning bylaw is we took the uses that were listed in the different districts, and there's several districts, and we instead of having them in chapter by chapter, having to open up each district and read what was allowed and not allowed, we did make it much simpler to find the uses in a table, and they're organized by type of use. And then we put the districts across the top. So the uses now are in the table on top to bottom, and the districts go across the left to right on the use table. And that's great, but if you look at how this example I'm putting up works, in District X, it allows a house, a farm, and a business. But when you get to another district, Y, it starts to parse that out and call a farm only a small farm and not maybe a bigger farm, and only a small business. And if you get to District Z, it's saying, well, you can allow a big business, but we don't want the smaller business. So it gets a little bit confusing when you try to move those uses over into a table. And that's what happened. It got a little confusing. And so we've discovered the problem, and we're here to solve it. What we've found is that when some of the commercial uses were moved from the town center, commercial industrial, and 3A design district, those uses got a little bit confused moving to the commercial district because they were listed in all these other kind of specialized districts. And what ended up happening is because they weren't listed in the commercial district, they got put as not allowed. And that wasn't the intent at all. These were always allowed either by special permit or by right, and we want to fix that because that's a real burden on our business community, and we want to have a good zoning bylaw that supports our business community and makes it easier for people to figure out what uses are allowed by right and what uses are allowed by special permit. So you can see artists and craft studios and galleries, business or professional offices, small repair shops, eat-in, that's not drive-through, restaurants, and retail sales and service up to 20,000 square feet. And if you can picture a CVS, those are about 10,000 square feet. So we really need to fix this. So this is a breakdown of the table of all the different changes we're proposing. For the most part, we're saying that those uses I just described should be by right. And you can see the far right column is where these districts came from, these uses, I mean, came from. We're not changing any uses. We're not changing any definitions. We're just changing these things to be allowed in the commercial district. So art and craft studios and galleries by right instead of not allowed. Business or professional offices by right instead of not allowed. Repair shop up to 2,000 square feet of gross floor area by right instead of not allowed. Restaurants where you're eating indoors by right instead of not allowed. A retail business that gets up to a larger size of 20,000 square feet, provided that the gross floor area does not exceed 25% of the lot, would be a special permit. Retail sales and service is described in every other use in the table. So we're going to put a footnote there. We don't want to delete the use because that confuses the table. So we want to leave the use in the table, but in the commercial district say as otherwise described in the table because it's covered elsewhere. And then if you have a retail store with a maximum gross floor area of 5,000 square feet, we're going to say that it's permitted by right. There's a trick to that. I'll get to that in a minute. And then service shop, such as barber shop, beauty shop, dry cleaning, pickup shop, with a max gross floor area of 2,000 square feet and no on-site dry cleaning, again, by right. Now, I'm not changing or proposing to change anything that doesn't need to be fixed. And this smaller, lighter blue table that I have on this slide, I'm just covering what did we just do with retail sales and service. We just said, by making these changes, that up to 2,000 square feet for those retail sales and services that we described will be by right. For up to 4,000 square feet, be by right. We also said a second ago that up to 5,000 square feet would be a special permit by the planning board. And, it would be by right. But what happens is that over 4,000 square feet is already a special permit by the planning board. So once you hit 4,000 square feet, effectively, 5,000 square feet is also a special permit by the planning board.
It's 4,001 square feet by right or with a special permit?
Special permit. And the only reason that happens is because we have to not change the uses in the list, otherwise we're making it worse. And then anything over 20,000 square feet is something that we don't want in the commercial district. We would rather have that in the commercial industrial zone. So we're saying that those, as always, are still not allowed. But we're not addressing those uses in this zoning change. So I just wanted to summarize what does happen by adopting these uses. So again, what we're doing is we're saying we've made a mistake. In the process, I wasn't here, but I know that it's clear what happened. We moved these uses into the use table, and we said that they weren't allowed just because they weren't also listed in the commercial district. It was simply an oversight, And that last run-through to check the use table missed that we made almost everything in the commercial district not allowed. And that was a mistake. Of course, we didn't mean to do that. So this is housekeeping.
Okay.
Is it necessary to even have that up to 5,000 square feet in there?
Because it's in an other table,
Because it's already there?
it's already there and it affects other districts. I don't want to mess anything. I understand it would be cleaner if we did, but it might not be cleaner in the other districts. We'd have to have a separate category and it gets awkward, so.
That's fine.
Okay. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay.
You need a motion.
Well, I'm wondering where we're at, because we
So-
closed the public hearing already.
Well, on that one article, but we're still holding a public hearing on this article.
Okay.
The first article.
Okay, so now we need to close this public hearing again?
Yes.
Okay, I need a motion to close the public hearing again.
So moved.
Okay, I got a motion, we got a second?
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
No, I think this is, will help encourage small businesses to invest in Kingston. Because, I mean, I know that if I look on a website and I look at zoning and I say, oh, my business can't go into commercial, the first thing I'm gonna do is just look somewhere else. I'm not gonna try to fight into it. So if this makes it easier for people to wanna invest in Kingston, I'm all for it.
Well, I mean, this is just correcting
Yeah.
That's the
typographical
intent.
graphical error, essentially, so,
But if you're from out of town, you can't tell that that's a typographical error, so.
yeah. And I guess doing it this way is the best way to do it, because it'll be on the record, so that's why we're doing it. So let's take a vote on this. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Okay.
So that was closing the hearing. Now we need a motion
There's a motion,
to
yeah.
make
Now
a
we-
favorable recommendation to town meeting.
I'll make a motion to make favorable recommendation to town meeting of the article as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
There are all these policies to take home.
Yeah, they are. Every year, I guess, or every 2 years, we have to give them to you in written form.
Okay, is
It's
there
a nice
anything,
light reading before bed, so.
anything else we need to
Men's room.
discuss tonight?
Technology,
Not that I'm aware of.
don't use it. There.
Is there any further stuff we need to talk about tonight, Val?
Not that I'm aware of.
We'll
Not that
review
you're
the
aware.
minutes next time.
Okay. I guess we'll have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. It's not debatable. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
If I said no, just for the record,
Recording
About-
stopped.
you know, it's non-negotiable. I mean, we would still leave, but, you know, I would.
What's weird is
I would be on
when
the
I go to
record saying, I
screen
want to
share,
keep doing
It
some
doesn't
work.
go to my screen. But if I go
not
back
debatable,
in,
so
get
why
out,
we have
go
to vote
back
on it?
in and say I want to open the Adobe.